Hello and welcome to another round of the Kobayashi Maru. I'm your host Travis, also known as Chief Engineer Holden on the Tempest crew. Today we're doing another round of the more experimental Kobayashi Maru. If you have not listened to the first one, I suggest you do so. It gives you a little rundown of how the system that I'm going to be using in here works. In addition to the fact that when you get to the end of that one, you kind of learn the twist at the end and may make listening a little more amusing on your end, knowing a secret that the player doesn't know. For this session, we bring aboard Matt, also known as Conrad Smythe, on the show. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. We are here with the gracious Matt Muller, also known as Conrad Smythe on our show. Do you want to give everybody a hello?
Hello, everybody.
We are going to start you out. You are the rawest of the raw. You have a -2 in every single stat. This is your first mission, so your character is going to be this generic blank slate. And we're going to be doing time jumps in here, so as you do more tasks with particular approaches, those numbers will go up. I'm going to be pretty liberal with giving you points to sort of build those up, so soon you'll be rolling better as you learn and grow more.
Cool. I start as Ensign Ricky and finish as Jean-Luc Picard.
Alrighty, so you awaken. The lights turn on. You feel the subtle background vibration of the engines pumping energy throughout the ship. You are aboard the USS Kobayashi Maru. Your mission is to map the Bean Nebula. It is densely packed with white dwarf stars, tons of gases, tons of dust. The lights are amazing. Like, picture, the best images you can imagine from James Webb Telescope and Hubble over the years. This nebula is huge. It is utterly gigantic. Your sensors can't even reach all of it at the moment. As you grow and learn, you will be able to absorb more data.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, essentially your entire universe is just this giant nebula hovering right outside the ship. So you will get going on mapping it. You've been taught the basics.
Map it.
Roll to map the entire thing.
Yes.
Which is basically what we're going to be doing. So,
Good.
As a base starting question, how do you want to go about scanning this nebula?
Cleverly.
Cleverly, huh? Okay.
Yes, I want to do that because I believe if I am a brash young Starfleet officer, I'm going to try to impress my superiors by not just mapping what they expect of me, but by going above and beyond that, because I'm Starfleet and I'm going to come up with some gobbledygook to actually do that.
First of all, thinking that you're a brash Starfleet officer is fun in of itself.
Yes.
But also, like, if your point is to try and impress your superior officers and the other people on the ship, that feels more flashy than clever to me.
Okay.
I'm okay to revamp what you want to do if you still want to do clever.
No, flashy works. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, flashy works.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go over how you're going to scan. Then we're going to go over your off-duty times.
Okay.
What are you doing in your off-duty times? After we sort of like chat about that and figure out what you're going to do, then you're going to do all the rolls at once, just in one bang, bang, bang of all the events that you're doing.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then we'll jump forward in time, and all the rolls sort of like mimic that time passage.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
You've decided to try and impress everybody on the ship and show them how awesome you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do some flashy scans of the nebula.
Yes.
So what are you doing when you're not scanning the nebula? Because let's be frank, like, shifts end. People aren't always scanning every single second of every day, so you aren't being used every second of every day.
Right.
What are you doing?
I am part of the ship's Parisi Squares team. So we're in the gym and we're practicing Parisi Squares.
Wait, which one is Parisi Squares?
It's the one, okay. In the first season, I'm looking at a picture of them about to play it. It's Worf and two random crewmen and Tasha, and that's the one where like people get like
horribly injured.
Going to they get horribly injured playing it, and it's some super violent game.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't think we've ever actually seen Parisi Squares on screen.
I don't think so. They've mentioned it, and someone got hurt.
Do you want to come up with what Parisi Squares is right now?
Yeah. So basically, how it is there's two teams of 4.
Okay.
Each member has a different duty on the team, like soccer. Like so. Here's your goalkeeper, and here's your forward and stuff like that. But you basically have 2 people in the front, one person in the middle and one person in the back that's protecting your square. And you basically have
Okay.
it's a slight variation of American style football combined almost with rugby, where there's a ball, and you are not allowed to leave your square. The court is divided into squares. You're not allowed to leave your square carrying the ball. So
Okay. So I will make a change. It's got to be a
Yeah.
cube, not a ball.
Okay, a cube. Okay,
Yeah.
done. It's a cube.
Because that's the stupidest thing to throw around.
It really is. Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like ultimate frisbee, I guess, but it's full contact. So you're not allowed to leave your square holding the cube, but you can be thrown the cube. But the second you have the cube, anyone can come and hit you.
Ooh.
And it's not just full tackle. You are allowed to use certain, we'll say,
The word you're looking for, a weapon?
fighting moves.
Oh, fighting
No,
moves.
weapons.
Oh, okay.
It's all hand to hand, but
Okay.
you're not allowed to punch someone, but you're allowed to like sweep the leg, Johnny, and other things to get that person
Awesome.
down and wrest the cube from them. But no more than 2 people are allowed in one square at a given time. Otherwise, that's an offsides.
Okay. All right. I think we
squares.
And also, to be clear, there's probably an explanation of what that game actually is. Star Trek nerds, deal with it. We're just having fun here.
I made my own, and that's great.
So I'm gonna say that is a forceful game.
Yes, I would think so.
So yeah, so Parisi Squares, we're gonna list that attribute as forceful.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on a Parisi Square team, so like you guys are playing once a week, right? So you meet up in the holodeck. I do have a list of crewmen if you want to like pick a crewmate or two.
Sure.
To play with.
Yeah. So the way I see it is like every ship has their own team, or can have their own team. So only one team per ship. Basically, you have to try out for it. You have some alternates and stuff.
Cool.
But
that's actually a thing that would be fascinating with Star Trek, is the idea of each like ship having their own team, and like you meet up at space dock and have tournaments.
Exactly. Or if you meet up with each other in space for some mission or something or other.
I'm fine with it. So we are going to give you, let's see, we'll go with Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman.
Venkman.
So yeah, so what department is he in?
He's in the counselor's office. He's a psychiatrist.
Counselor's office. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the additional person that you have on your team is Ensign Cameron. What department is Ensign Cameron working in?
Ensign Cameron is in stellar cartography. Actually, no, that's what I'm in, I would assume, if I'm mapping the nebula. No, let's see. Yeah, stellar cartography. Yeah.
Okay. So he's someone in stellar cartography that works with you to map the...
Right.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Okay. Cartography. All right. His likes are surfing and tinkering, and he dislikes leafy greens. So...
Oh, wow. All right.
Just in case that ever becomes needed.
Just come at him with lettuce.
So you have 2. I'm not going to give you a third. It's a team of 4. Ensign Cameron and Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman go to the holodeck. Mm-hmm. You meet them there. An additional holographic player joins you. No one else on the crew really likes to play Parisi Squares.
Okay.
So you all get into it. You're playing regularly. Mm-hmm. You'll be rolling forceful to cover the games that you were simulating, that you were going through.
Cool.
All right. Anything else that you want to do on your off time?
Yeah. He likes to relax and read some good books.
Okay.
What is it when he's not beating the crap out of people in Parisi Squares?
Bit of a philosopher king, this one.
Yeah, likes to sit and relax. And read some good novels.
All right. What type of novels? Fiction, it sounds like.
Yeah, mostly fiction. But he likes his historic fiction.
Historic fiction. All right.
Is what he really likes. Like, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna give you. What do you think? I kind of lean towards careful. A study of history. The people who sort of study history feels like careful, unless you're trying to do something else about it.
No, that's fine.
All right, so careful. Anything else? Again, I'm gonna keep asking till you say that's good, and then we'll do the rolls and jump to the next time jump. So like, it's up to you. You have a seemingly infinite amount of time, so go ahead and figure it out, much as you feel like doing.
Apparently, I do. It's crazy. Yeah. No, so for this time jump, that's kind of what he's been doing. He's been really focusing on Parisi squares and getting his reading on
Okay.
for now.
Alrighty. So we have 3 rolls for you to do. You're
Mhm.
going to roll flashy.
Roll.
-4.
Oh wow, that was not good.
Give me a forceful roll.
Forceful. Yep, doing great.
Give me a careful roll.
Hey.
-1. All right. All right. So yeah. So those are just sort of the rolls to take up the time, right? So
Mhm.
it's now been about a week. We were at day 1. Now we're at day 8.
Mhm.
You are playing Parisi Squares at the holodeck with a couple of the crew members. You
Mhm.
are you are researching a bunch of history, reading a bunch of history and historical fiction and those sorts of things. Over this 1 week time period, the scanning is, I'm going to say, slow going.
Perfect.
You have currently, over the course of the first week, you have mapped 1 times 10 to the -83rd% of this nebula.
Oh, I'm doing great.
So yeah, so for those keeping track, that is 0 point and then 82 more zeros and then a 1% of the nebula. The way I'm going to liken it, I did this with Brian. It did not have a metaphor, and it made him a little wonky. So I came up with a metaphor. I don't know how accurate it's going to be math-wise, but assuming that you are trying to basically catalog every bit of beach sand in the entire planet Earth, you have basically done the equivalent of categorizing 1 speck of sand so far.
Yeah, but I categorized the hell out of that speck of
You
sand.
really did. It will never be forgotten.
No.
In addition, you have, again, played Parisi Squares, been reading history, all those sorts of things. Pretty early on, I'm going to be pretty generous. So during this time, because you spent time reading, because you spent that time playing, I'm going to bump you up 1 in Forceful, which
Ooh.
represents your time and experience of learning how to play Parisi Squares and getting better at it. Yeah, the Careful, because you continually read, which, that's not really a opposed task.
Yeah.
And we are going to give you 1 in Flashy as well, because again, as you scan more, you will get better at it. That is how learning happens.
Yes.
And so yeah, so that's it. That is the full rundown of the sort of percentage complete and the outcome of the events that were happening.
Cool.
Next, we will go over what do you want to do to scan. Again, you don't have to scan the same way every time. If you want to continue to try and impress everyone, you can do that. If you want to try a different approach, you can do that as well.
I am going to try a different approach because Flash didn't really work out the way I was doing it before. So I'm going to pivot. I'm going to very carefully scan.
Pivot.
I'm going to scan carefully.
Okay.
So basically, by the book, everything the way I was taught to do it.
All right. Carefully. You're going to be meticulous.
Yes.
Just following the step-by-step process that it is ingrained in you.
Yes. Yeah. As opposed to trying to be clever and do or flashy and do something ridiculous, I'm just going to do it the right way and get it done.
Okay. All right. So you're going to scan that way. Looking at your off season again, continuing your Parisi Squares game, unless you tell me otherwise. Continuing to read history. If you want to change up what you're reading, you're welcome to tell me. Otherwise, you can just keep learning more and more history.
Yep.
If you want to add anything new,
I'd like to add a. So one of my teammates, you see, he's a tinkerer. Did you say that?
Ensign Cameron.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hang out and we're gonna work on something together. Maybe we're gonna work on a small like power source and see if we can tinker with it and maybe get it to output a little bit more power than it's supposed to. Just kind of do a little tinkering with something like that.
All right. So Ensign Cameron is trying to sort of like create a more efficient power cell.
Yeah.
And you help out by running, some additional calculations and so forth and so on as he goes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna write Tinker Power Cell.
Yeah. I'll add that to the list.
So what do you think that would be in terms of rolling?
I'm thinking that's probably clever.
That was my thought as well. Yeah, okay. I'll give you clever.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Do you want to add?
No, that'll fill my week, I think.
Okay. So you're playing your Parisi Squares. The holodeck is now getting tons of use as you regularly are just running squares. Continuing to read through history, trying to learn everything you can, just downloading everything about history you can. Ensign Cameron has decided he wants to try and efficient a power cell and you are helping out with that any way he wants to utilize you.
Mhm.
You are switching up how you're scanning the nebula and going to be doing it carefully, very meticulous by the book.
Mhm.
And I think that's it. So
Yep.
let's go ahead and do the rolls. Let's get a careful roll for your scan.
Oh,
-3.
hey, I did one better.
You did do one better. Let's get you a forceful roll for your sporting events.
One better.
One better.
I'm
Let's
doing
get you
great.
another careful roll because you were studying up on history.
Oh,
Ooh, heck yeah.
I know that pretty
Good
good.
one. And let's get you one clever roll for your tinkering help.
Clever girl.
-2. All right. Let's go ahead and bump up your stats based on the experience that you have gained running through all of that. Yeah, so we've jumped forward in time. We are now on day 16. So in addition to the plenty of scanning, I will recap that the scanning that you have done, you have moved that additional week to 16 days. You have now scanned 1.01 times 10 to the -83rd.
Oh.
So you have gone from a single grain of sand to a couple grains of sand in about the same time frame in this particular scenario.
Good.
You've continually learned historic stuff. You were helping out with a friend. We bumped up those stats, and so that's where you stand. I'm gonna leave this fairly open-ended going forward. I'm gonna recap what we've been doing, and then we're just gonna figure out what you feel like doing on the off time. So for now, how do you want to continue scanning? Do you want to change it up, keep going, and then we'll switch to what you want to do in the hours that you are not being utilized to scan this nebula?
Yep, I'm gonna do it carefully again because
Okay.
that seems to be get me a better result.
Mm-hmm.
Not much better, I think, in the grand scheme of things, but it seems to work a little bit better. We're gonna do Parisi squares again,
Okay.
but the books are gonna take a back seat this week, I think.
Okay.
Instead of reading a book, I'm basically gonna use the holodeck because my holodeck ration is up here, so I get some holodeck time. And I'm basically gonna play like the holodeck version of like Skyrim.
Ooh. All right.
Like so fully immersive, real Skyrim. So that's what I'm gonna do with the
All right.
holodeck. I don't know what that role is gonna be. I guess it's because it depends on how I'm gonna play it.
So you scan, you check the holodeck scheduling. You see a bunch
Yeah.
of open times because let's face it, you're not going to just do an hour in Skyrim in the holodeck. So you find
Yeah.
every open available time in the holodeck. You just basically kind of like just start running the program the second the
Yeah.
person leaves, and until the next person comes in, you just play Skyrim.
Yeah.
And what's your character in Skyrim going to be? You're going to be careful. You can be flashy.
No, he's gonna be a sneaky archer,
All right, sneaky archer.
sneaking around and shooting stuff.
All right, I was thinking in my head sneaky archer, and I wrote down sneaker.
Sneaker. Good.
Close enough. All right, so you're rolling sneak for that. You take it off your careful for this time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? Again, you are pretty smart, and again, we're gonna start jumping. I went from day 1 to day 8 to day 16, but the time in between those are gonna start getting longer. So
Right.
you can add more stuff as much as you can process at any given time.
You know what? Because I'm not getting very far in the scanning of this nebula, I'm actually going to see if I can read up on some, I guess, like not newer scanning procedures, but new methods to chart things like this that might be in the.
Okay. Just check to see if there are any updates to scanning procedures, scanning stuff. Okay.
Exactly. Or looking like scientific journals or something.
I think I could hear clever or quick, whichever you want to do. What are you feeling?
Well, I think clever.
Clever.
I
Okay.
like clever. Yeah.
Alrighty. How you feeling? Do you want to add anything else?
Yeah. No, I think I'm good for that.
Okay. So, as a rundown, you're continuing many a game of Parisi Squares. You are helping Ensign Cameron with their power cell project.
Oh, yeah, I'm still doing that.
Playing the Skyrim game within the holodeck. And now you're also sort of reaching out and communicating with the other ships in Starfleet to try and glean any sort of update in scanning processes and whatnot to be more efficient at scanning. And you are continuing to scan meticulously as you go.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's run through. Go ahead and give me a careful roll. -1.
Still one
Give
more
me
better.
Another forceful roll. Up to 0 in there, yeah.
Hey.
Give me a clever roll.
Clever.
-2.
Give me a second clever roll.
Clever.
-4.
All right, and now give me a sneak roll.
Ooh.
Wow, that's a solid first
I
roll for
rolled
sneak.
awesome.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we now jump forward in time yet again. Let us first update your stats. So we are now up to day 32.
Okay.
The calendar has flipped over the month, and we are on that one. To recap, we are now at 1.05 times negative to the 83rd.
Oh.
So instead of just a few grains of sand, you now have like a solid pinch full of sand.
Yeah.
So like starting to build over time.
Is our mission to chart this entire nebula, or are we just charting a portion of this?
Your entire existence is to scan this nebula.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
They commissioned this ship only to scan this nebula.
so that's it. That's a recap.
Okay.
The off duties are still what they are. Again, you can keep doing everything you want to do. You can add as much as you feel like. Do you want to first? Let's talk about scanning. Do you want to keep scanning the nebula the way you are?
Yes.
Okay, you're sticking to careful.
I'm sticking with it for now.
You're by the book.
By the book.
Careful. All right. Running down your extracurriculars. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah. No, we're gonna keep it for this time. This one time, yeah, we'll keep the same.
Okay.
This time.
So running down, playing your Parisi squares. You're continuing to help Cameron with his project. You're playing lots of Skyrim in the holodeck.
Yep.
And you continually are in contact with other ships, just communicating back and forth with those ship scanning systems to make sure you know what you're doing. All right, let's run through your rolls. Give me a careful.
Okay. 1.
It's your first positive.
Yeah, I've done it.
Give me forceful.
Oh, there it is.
It's a 2. Give me clever. -2. Give me a second clever.
Oh.
-3.
And a sneaky roll. All right, negative. Jumping forward, we are at day 64.
Oh.
We're really moving now.
Yeah.
So we've doubled again. Flash forward to another month to day 64. You are powered through. You've powered through your scans, and you are currently up to 1.2 times 10 to the negative 83rd.
Oh my God.
This is what would be the equivalent of, instead of just a pinch of sand, like a heaping tablespoon of sand.
Oh, there we go.
So, bet you're feeling really good about yourself.
I feel great.
Yeah, so that's where we stand. You are continuing on with your processes, which we covered before, the pre-squares, the tinkering, all that kind of stuff. I'll notice that you are not just making, like, I'm doubling the time each time we jump, if you hadn't noticed, but I'll note that the amount that you are learning each time in terms of how much mapping you are doing is not by double, it's by more. You're exponentially growing as you get better at this. So so we're back.
Cool.
How do you want to continue scanning this nebula?
Still carefully.
Okay.
I'm going to take some time off of Breezy Squares.
Okay.
For this week. It's the off season. We're all going to take a quick break.
Okay, you stop running those games of Parisi Squares.
Yep, but I'm going to take up some rock climbing with Bankman.
Okay.
Because I think Bankman and Cameron are probably my 2 best friends in the ship, so I hang out with those guys a lot. Doing whatever we do. So.
All right. So you're rock climbing with Bankman. What do we think that would be?
Let's go quick. That's a bad stat for me still.
Okay. So quick. So it's not just rock climbing. You are actually taking up speed climbing. You're trying to learn how to get up the wall as fast as possible.
Right. Yeah. It's like those crazy contests, like those competitions you see where people basically sprint up walls, and it's ridiculous.
Which is insane.
Yeah. They look like spiders. It's insane.
All right. With Bankman again.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else new you want to?
No, I think I'm still gonna do. Me and Cameron are still working on that. That power cell. Still trying to figure out the best way to scan this thing, because it is a bear.
It is a bear.
And
Alrighty.
the faster we can finish this, the faster we can all get some shore leave.
So just to recap, you are continuing to scan carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You are no longer partaking in Parisi squares. Instead, you have taken up rock climbing with Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman.
Yep.
To speed climbing, I should say. But you are continuing to tinker, play, simulate your Skyrim games, and continuing to reach out to other starships to keep trying to update that. Okay. Run through our rolls. Give me a careful roll. One. Give me a tinker roll. Or a clever. Sorry. 2. Give me a sneak roll. -1. Give me another clever roll. -1. And give me a quick roll. -1. Not bad for the first roll for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are jumping forward in time.
4.5 years later. Yeah.
So we have jumped forward. We are at day 128.
Mm-hmm.
So approximately a third of a year has passed. You have now charted 2.7 times 10 to the -83rd percent. Gone from a heaping tablespoon of sand to a large handful of sand.
There we go.
Yeah. To recap your extracurriculars, with the +2, you have successfully helped Ensign Cameron solve whatever math equations, whatever power distribution algorithms needed to be worked out. You have done that thing. So he has now completed that power cell.
Cool.
So that one's a check off. Like what I did there?
Check off.
So you have simulated a ton of Skyrim at this point. You've just played a crap ton of that game. You continue coordinating with other ships, trying to learn as much as you can about scanning processes and algorithms to get better. And then additionally, you are now meeting up in the holodeck rather than playing pre-squares. You are meeting up with Venkman to try and take up rock climbing to learn how humans rock climb up a wall.
Yes.
All right. So that's where we are.
My goal is my eventual goal is to beat Kirk's time on El Capitan.
As you should.
Yeah.
Let's first talk about your scanning. How do you want to continue scanning this nebula? That's your main goal. That's your mission. That's your purpose.
Doing it super carefully still.
Okay, careful. All right. So when you are not being utilized to scan this nebula, you have free reign of everything the computer and ship can offer you.
All right. So still rock climbing.
Okay.
I'm done tinker with Cameron, unless we want to.
Correct. That one is completed.
Yeah, we don't want to start a new project together. So, I dig up gardening leafy greens, and I've lost Cameron as a friend.
You just keep as the replicator keep throwing leafy greens at him, just fills his
lettuce hot. Well, since I'm done tinkering with Cameron, I'm going to take up some more reading again.
Okay.
It's been a while since I read a good book, so kind of over the historical fiction right now. So I think we're going to go with some fantasy stuff, like Lord of the Rings esque stuff.
All right. Cool.
Fun
stuff
like that.
You'll download the archive of fantasy novels.
Yes, and I will read them all
from ancient Earth times. Yep.
Yes, from ancient Earth.
You will read them all for sure.
Yeah. So I'll do that. Still rock climbing. Skyrim must be almost done with at this point. This is probably going to be I'm assuming this is going to be the last week of Skyrim.
I'm kind of basing how you roll. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll keep doing that. Anything else? No, I think. You know what? Actually, I'd like to take up a class in some kind of martial art. I think
Reese Squares wasn't enough for you.
No, I mean that was just fighting. Not that was just beating the bag out of people.
Right.
But maybe more like a Vulcan martial art. That's super meditative and almost like Tai Chi. Take up like Tai Chi, but space Tai Chi.
Space Chi. All right.
Space Chi. Like that stuff that Worf does.
Gotcha.
The Klingon Tai Chi.
Alrighty. So, reading fantasy books. How are we gonna? What approach are we gonna use for this?
I don't know. I guess.
So you said you wanted to read all of the fantasy. So how about we go with quick, with the idea that you were just trying to download and absorb every bit of fantasy.
Blow right through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So we'll go with quick on that one. and your Tai Chi again in the holodeck. You go ahead and do you want to do this with other people? You just plan on taking it by yourself?
No, I think it's a class with people, like
Okay.
because like Worf had that class that he taught.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like that is what I'm doing.
We're gonna call that. Well, it's a little performative, right? Like,
Yeah, it is.
sure, we'll go flashy.
Yeah. Okay.
Flashy. Okay. So we're set. You're going to continue scanning this nebula.
Yep.
You are going to continue playing Skyrim in the holodeck. Now you are now dropping into martial art class. You are continually contacting other ships to make sure that you're fully updated to scan nebula. You are speed rock climbing with Venkman in the holodeck, and you are downloading every bit of fantasy you can possibly absorb and retain. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and do your rolls. Careful roll for me.
Wow,
5.
5.
Yeah, your careful is starting to build up there. You've been following protocol and
yeah, I'm
doing
getting
that
really
pretty
good
solid.
at it.
Yeah, which is the whole point. You get better and you learn and you improve. Go ahead and give me a sneaky roll. 4. Holy crap! Off a 1.
Great.
That was
Yeah.
Give me a clever roll. 1. Give me a quick roll. -1. And a second quick roll. -2. And a flashy roll.
I'm doing a lot now. All right.
1. Okay. So we'll run through. You continually do careful stuff, and you're doing it meticulous, so you continue to grow on that. I'm going to bump you up another one, the careful. You're constantly in contact, so I'm going to bump you up one more in the clever. You did a couple quick things, or at least designed to be quick things. I'll give you 2 there. In your flashy, I'll give you 1 for that because it is a new skill that you are now taking up, and you rolled well on that for where you were. And so we'll say that in the class, everybody was kind of wondering who you were at first. Didn't really recognize you, just kind of appeared out of nowhere. But you excelled in that class. So now, you moved up to the front of the class. Everyone's like, man, who's that? Who's that? They're perfect. You're a little mechanical, I'll say, but you flow well. You follow the steps like you're supposed to. You're very careful. You're very clever. You pick it up pretty quickly, and so you are appearing very well. You have downloaded much of the fantasy. You are continually absorbing it. By the 28th, 27th century, whenever Lower Decks happens, obviously we have
more
millennia of additional fantasy novels, and so you have it's just a very large data bank of fantasy novels that you're working through. Continue your scanning updates. That one's pretty standard. And Halo or Skyrim, you rolled a 4. We're gonna say at this point you have basically not just beaten the game, but you have beaten the game and then gone through multiple playthroughs with different characters at this point.
Cool.
So you have now 100% of the game multiple times. You've gone over frame data. You have gone through you've done the data mining to figure out the unfinished area and even hacked into that because you're able to. So you have now completely dominated Skyrim in the holodeck. And again, we have jumped forward in time. We are now at, what were we at last time? Do you remember?
128.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're now at 256. We're at 256 days. You are 5.3 times 10 to the negative 83rd. Wow. Instead of a heaping handful, you now have a cup, a solid cup of it. Maybe 2 cups. A large, cool. A big gulp cup of it.
A big gulp.
Yeah. Of sand out of all of the beaches, sand in the entire world. So that's where we are.
All right.
What do you want to do? Let's first talk about scanning. You want to continue scanning the way you're scanning?
Yes. Very carefully.
Very meticulous, following your programming, just doing the thing.
Just getting it done. And just continuously looking for ways to get it done faster.
What do you want to do in your off time, when the times that you are not being used to scan a nebula?
Well, I'm going to continue doing my Tai Chi.
Okay.
We'll continue to rock climb.
Okay.
Continue to read my books. Skyrim is out, so I think I'm gonna take a break from the holo gaming for a little bit, just because you don't want to always do that. Holo gaming rots your mind, and I don't want to pull a Barkley. and just put all my friends in there and be weird about it. So we'll scrub that, but I've taken up building ship miniatures because this is a long ass mission. And we're just away from everything. And there's just only so much stuff you can do before you start to get bored of the ship. So I'm starting to build like ship miniatures. So build and paint them. I get the deconstructed kits out of the replicator, and I build them with the hobby glue. It still smells horrifying like that, like the rubber cement.
That's never been fixed.
Exactly. It just doesn't make you dizzy anymore. It just still smells bad.
Oh, what's the point of it then?
I know, right?
All right. So what are you doing with these ship miniatures then?
They're going to my in my quarters. I kind of I have a little shelf in my quarters, and they kind of go up all on the shelf. I'm working my way through the Enterprises right now.
So you download all of the schematics, all of the like design models, all of that stuff. You start replicating up these miniatures as you see fit.
Yep.
Okay. What do we feel like calling that one?
I don't know. I was thinking probably either careful or clever.
Yeah, I was thinking careful personally.
Yeah. Yep. We'll go with that.
It's a meticulous thing. Yeah. Let's do the roll first. So we're gonna do careful for that. Anything else you're adding on your off time?
Nope.
So yeah, let's go ahead and do your rolls. Give me a careful roll.
Carefully 5.
5. Give me a clever roll. 3. All right. Give me a quick roll. 1. It's your first positive in quick.
Yeah.
Give me another quick roll for your reading.
Well,
Negative 1.
I didn't read very good.
Give me a flashy roll. Negative 1. And give me another careful roll. 8. Holy cow. All right.
We swap that one with the first one.
With the scanning? Nope.
Yeah.
So that represents the next time jump that we will go forward. We are now day 512 of your mission to scan this nebula.
Wow.
You have scanned 1.1 times 10 to the negative 82. You have lessened an order of magnitude.
There we go.
You have gone from a big gulp to like a 5-pound bucket.
There
a 5-pound bucket worth of sand in that time frame.
I'm the greatest.
Because you rolled so well on the ship miniatures, you actually can't. First of all, you can't line your walls. Like, you can't really do anything with the physical miniatures for you anyway. So what you do is you replicate out these miniatures, and just like they just keep appearing in people's like offices and ready rooms. Like people just leave their quarters and come home after their shift, and there is a small like thing sitting in their replicator like waiting for them. They don't know how it got there. Sometimes I'm gonna say you even like transport it to places. So like you just immediately just run the programming, like immediately transport. So like just the captain now has like 5 ship miniatures in their ready room, and they have no idea how they got there. And you're just doing that constantly. So there's just ships, and you stuck to the Enterprise, so they're all just versions of they're all just the Enterprise. It's the same 5, but there's like at this point there's a couple hundred spread out over the course of the ship.
Everyone has their own Enterprise now.
Yep. Still in your Vulcan Tai Chi, still doing your rock climbing with Venkman. You continually scan for updates. You've already taken out your Skyrim because you completed that through every bit of it, so forth and so forth. I'm going to say at this point you have now scanned and downloaded and absorbed all fantasy currently in the Starfleet databanks.
Cool. I'm smart.
So we are, again, to reminder, we are on day 512 of your mission, and we are up to rescanning. How do you want to scan?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you know what? We jumped skills. Alrighty.
Cool.
You're getting smart. And I will note that you are getting smart in multiple areas. I would say you are more of a generalized intelligence rather than a specialized at this point, even though your biggest one is in following the exact rules that you have about scanning nebula. Like you were being meticulous and doing that, other than the fact that you were regularly getting updates from other ships on new techniques and new variations, but you're always just following the programming.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So how do you want to keep scanning?
Keep it careful.
Keep it careful. All right.
Yeah.
And off time.
Yep. So still doing much of that stuff. I'm not making miniatures anymore because I've heard back from some mutterings from people that aren't very happy that they have 15 Enterprise Ds in their quarters now.
Yes,
So
you have definitely. I will say that you have definitely seen people's personal logs, right? Like everybody keeps their
mhm,
log. You've definitely like gone over people's personal logs and been hearing people be like, "I didn't ask for this. Who is doing this? How is this happening?" They're a little
yeah,
creeped out.
like I've been at the mess hall and just talking, and someone will say, "Man, dude, another one of those damn Enterprises appeared in my room. It's so weird. Hey, you seen any of that?" Oh, and I'll go, "Oh, yeah. I don't know who's doing it. It's weird. I got like four."
Yeah, I think at this point, because you rolled an
So
8 and you just produced so many of them, I think at this point, anywhere you are on the ship, you you just can pick up that people are talking about it. It is now
yes,
the talk of the ship of like
yep.
what is going on here and like
hmm So I'm actually going to use this time because so while reading all these fantasy novels,
Mhm.
um, I kind of wanted to do something that I heard was very big back in the 20th and 21st century,
Uh-oh.
and that is actually playing a tabletop role playing game. So
Oh,
I
okay.
invite Cameron and Stan Bankman and a few other people over, and we're gonna start a old school D&D game together. So
Okay.
we're gonna do that. So I will GM that one for them.
Okay.
So I'm basically coming up. You know how it works.
Yeah. So what type of GM would you be then?
The one that just wants everyone to have fun and have a good time. So
All right.
I'm probably fudging some rolls behind the
I can't imagine
um
what that's like.
I know, right?
All right, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you clever then, because it
Okay.
you're gonna be you're improving on the fly, right? So like
Yeah.
that's what a
Yeah.
lot of a GM does. I'm gonna go ahead and give you clever on
Right.
that particular role. So yeah,
Cool.
you have you looked up the personnel file. You have Cameron Vankman, the two people that you have spent some time with
hmm
the holodeck on. Let's give you who likes games. Ensign Sloan likes games. So
Sloan
Sloan,
Peterson.
yes, we have Ensign Cameron and Ensign Sloan. So
Wonderful.
so D&D. Oh, what department is Ensign Sloan in?
Oh, Ensign Sloan. She's in medical.
Medical. All right. Cool. All right, Ensign Sloan, and we're gonna give you yeah. So we're gonna give you the XO. Lieutenant Commander DeMarco has decided to join your little your group.
DeMarco.
Yeah,
I don't know that reference.
it's a
Know that
Galaxy
reference?
Quest. It's Sigourney Weaver in Galaxy Quest.
Oh.
And yeah, I just named her as the XO. So
Okay.
yeah, so her likes are painting and puzzles, which is why she was interested in the D&D
Ah,
game.
cool.
So yeah, so you basically you scanned through the personnel files of the ship, right?
hmm
And you found you knew the two names of the people you had already interacted with on the holodeck with
Yep.
Cameron and Venkman. You saw that Ensign Sloan enjoys games, and so you went ahead and sent an invite to her. You
hmm
also saw that Lieutenant Commander DeMarco likes puzzles, and so you were like, well, maybe they'll be good fit for this game. So you sent a
Yeah.
notification to them. You just basically like, I'm gonna say you didn't even like invite so much as like you popped up a notification and said like, be here for this D&D game.
hmm
Um, so you all meet in the holodeck again. You were just going to appear for them. You sit down at a table. This way, it also has like all of you want to have this whole experience, right? So like you
Yeah.
deck out the place. It's dark, very
It
like
looks like my mom's. Yeah, it looks like my mom's basement.
it looks like an
Uh,
80s basement. It's all wood paneling and shag carpeting,
yep. Yep.
and it smells of
I have
pizza.
Yep, I have
Um,
Cheetos and pizza, so they're good
yep.
to go there.
And they sit down, and you get ready to play this D&D game. So you're gonna go ahead and play a D&D game with these people.
hmm
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think we have all anything else. Again, time jumps are larger, but also I'm gonna be frank, you have a lot of like just you have the ability to do a seemingly infinite
Pretty
amount
much
of things.
anything.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like play with it. Do what you want to do.
Yeah. Um.
If you can't think of anything, that's okay too. But again, just
Yeah, no, because
open-ended.
I already have so many things I'm doing, right? But um um I'm gonna take up just some nice nature walks in the that word on my brain isn't working.
Arboretum.
Arboretum, that's
Yeah.
the word. Yep. Thank
All
you.
right.
I
So,
wanted
yeah,
to
so
say arboretum. That's wrong.
so you are now going to spend some time in the arboretum, just just seeing how nature functions.
Yeah.
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 All
Just
right.
take some nice walks and relax there and yeah.
Nature observation. All right. That. What are we thinking for that particular thing?
Doesn't really fall under anything exactly.
Right. Okay. So what's your? So let's say this. Let's back up a little bit then and say
Hmm.
you are sort of like you're overseeing and like keeping an eye on the nature arboretum to just like learn nature and whatnot. What is
Hmm.
your goal on this front? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by
Um,
doing this?
just to relax and just take in more of the ship that I don't go to a lot. Because I
Okay.
think for a lot of people on the ship, they might not go to the Arboretum a lot. It might not be a very popular place
Yeah,
for
I will.
for a good amount of people.
Okay.
But maybe also like get to ground myself. Because I mean, I've been in space for a year and a half, apparently with no breaks. So maybe just to get see some actual nature,
Okay.
as
Sounds
limited
good.
as it might be there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call that. Yeah, that's tough. It doesn't really fit relaxation.
Or maybe sneaky
Maybe
if
sneaky.
I'm trying to like be very quiet and like be one with nature,
Yeah.
so I can catch some of the little animals that they might have in the arboretum.
Yeah.
They
We'll do
probably have
that. We'll
squirrels and
go.
stuff.
Yeah. Go. We'll go with sneaky.
All right.
Why not? Alrighty. Yeah. So, running down the list, you're going to continue to scan careful, unless there's something else you want to add. Not trying to railroad.
Nope.
Continue to scan careful. Continue to reach out to get updates regularly. Continue your speed rock climbing processes with Venkman. You have finished downloading all and absorbed every bit of data and knowledge about fantasy books ever written. Continuing to show up at the Tai Chi. Are you still doing ship miniatures? You said you were stopping that, right?
I'm stopping that. Yeah.
Okay, stopping the ship miniature
Because
building.
everyone has 500 of them.
You've started up this D&D game,
Mm-hmm.
and you are now sort of like inhabiting the nature, the arboretum, and sort of watching the animals, watching how nature
Mm-hmm.
functions, maybe like paying attention to the crew as they go in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so let's run through your rolls again. Give me a
Okay.
careful.
It's a 6.
6. All right. Give me a clever. 3. The clever has not been good to you this time.
No.
A 3 is still okay. Like a 3 is still fine, but like considering you're a +5,
I have a 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a quick 4. Give me a flashy 2. Give me another. No, wait, no. Give me a clever. This for the D&D game,
Mm-hmm.
and give me a sneaky for your nature observing. Alrighty. Jumping forward in time. So yeah, we're up to day 1024. Approximately
Really?
2.8 years into your journey.
Oh my God.
Just 2.8 years of you just crunching the numbers on this nebula. You have 4.7 times 10 to the negative 81st. You have the equivalent of like a large wheelbarrow that's heaping full of sand, comparatively to all of the sand on the planet Earth. You have a face. You're making a face.
This is not real. I'm in hell. My character is dead and is in hell. This is not a real thing. What do I roll for that?
What are you checking exactly?
I don't know that he's not that he's not where he thinks he is and doing what he thinks he's doing.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to that he's in a simulation. That this isn't real. That's what is going through his mind right now. Like almost like Truman Show, like these people aren't either these people are not real people, or if they are real people, they are not who they are saying they are.
So this is a feeling that you're having, right? Like you're starting to
Yes.
have some wondering thoughts. Let's turn that into an aspect.
Okay.
You said questioning everything. We could do that. I could also
Yes.
see that as potentially paranoia.
Right.
But
Yeah. He's questioning everything. Yeah. Is what
all
is
right,
what
we'll
is
go
happening.
with questioning everything.
Yeah.
Is your current aspect.
Mhm.
So since you are having that feeling, I want to reinforce
Mhm.
that feeling by saying like, hey, you are now that a core aspect of your character is currently in this sort of like frustrated, confused, what is happening thought process.
Okay.
In the meantime, how would you like to go about your scanning?
Careful. Still.
Going to continue with your careful scanning of the nebula, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Carefully scanning of the nebula. Do you want to add any additional things?
Yes, actually. I'm trying to figure out what he can do to find out if what his suspicions are true. Like what he could do to figure that out. Because obviously, if he just goes nuts and just like, stab someone, that's not going to help. But what can he research that he would know?
Truman Show would have been a totally different movie
Sure
if
would
he
have
had just
been.
started stabbing people.
Yeah, yeah.
And it only would have been slightly more dark because that movie's really dark when you think about
Sure
it.
is.
I love that movie. That is like I think it should be like considered a top 50 movie all time.
Yeah, yeah.
It is incredibly prescient and good.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
like maybe he can do some research, look something up that he knows is true, but is maybe not known to the greater, or like some small little detail that he would be able to find in the databanks of the Federation somewhere that is kind of insignificant to anyone else, but he would know it,
who's the groundskeeper at Starfleet Academy type stuff.
Well, I mean, apparently he's a Q, and everybody knows that guy. Apparently, he lives forever.
Fair.
So
okay, so
yeah.
so we'll just call it a universe check. You are
Yes.
you are doing a check historically. Again, you read a bunch of history already, so like you were double checking the history stuff compared to logs.
Yep.
You were trying to coordinate and like make sure. We'll even go a little further and say you're like checking to make sure the star maps all seem to match up with what is in the databanks versus what you are currently seeing. All those sorts of things.
Yep.
All right. We're gonna call that. It's gonna be clever or careful.
Yeah.
Since you're coming at it from a place of suspicion and you were trying to verify something, I'm going to say careful.
Okay.
How does that feel to you?
That's fine.
Careful. Okay. Careful. All right. Anything else you want to add in your non-working hours?
Nope.
You have lots of cycles to fill. All I'm saying.
Oh, I know. He's really focusing on a couple of on especially that last one.
Gotcha.
Is
okay.
almost like
so let's
if you went to his quarters, he'd have like the pieces, like pads hanging on the wall with red yarn between them all.
Looking for like Admiral Sylvia or something.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do your scan first.
Okay.
Let's get a careful roll to see how much of the nebula you get scanned. 7. Let's run down the list. Doing your update check. Give me a clever roll. 5. Give me a quick roll for your rock climbing buddy in the holodeck. 6.
Nailed it.
Give me a flashy roll for your Tai Chi. 2. Give me a stop the miniatures. Give me a clever roll for your D&D game. 6. Give me a sneaky roll for your observations of the Arboretum. Ooh, -1.
Yeah, they found
and give me a careful roll for your universe check. 8. Those rolls represent the passage of time. We have now jumped forward. We are now at day 2048. You have now charted 1.8 times 10 to the negative 79th.
Oh.
You went from a wheelbarrow full of sand to essentially like a trailer of sand, like big trailer full of sand. Running down the list of things, you got a 5, so you continually get updates of how to scan. You are getting much better at that. Again, you're rolling careful. Like you've seen how good you're rolling and careful. So like you are just a scanning machine at the moment. You are continuing your rock climbing. You rolled really well on the last one. I'm gonna say, at this point, like you were already beating him nonstop. Like simulations are just like you're just flying up the wall. At this point, like every record is broken. You were just the best at this. You now calculate every bit as you go. type of thing. The Tai Chi, again, you continue, like, at this point, you are, like, to say that you're perfect at it is not an understatement. You are, to the millimeter, like, moving just like, exactly as the instruction manual says to do. You are just perfect in every single millimeter of movement and motion. Continue to run the D&D game. Like, you've gone through several campaigns at this point. You just keep running over and over and over again. You continue. I will say, I'll jump first to the universe check. You did a careful roll for the universe check. Everything in your databanks matches what you would expect. The history of the Federation, all of the detail stuff that you look up seems to match. The crew complement on the Kobayashi Maru matches when you check the internal sensors to say this is how many people are on the Maru. All of the star chart data seems to match up with where the Maru should be positioned right now. The nebula is what it is. So as far as you can tell, snapshot in time, the universe seems the way the universe should be. And then in the nature observation, you continually sort of like now listen in on the crew. They are still talking about ship miniatures randomly appearing in their quarters. What else? What else are they talking about? They're still talking about the ship miniatures in the quarter. There are comments about how the holodeck power systems seem low, like it's running way more than they expected it to. They had to clear some memory banks of all of the fantasy novels that appeared on the systems because suddenly the entire Federation's history of fantasy appeared on the systems, and they weren't sure why, so they just deleted those off of there. And yeah, there's like a little sense of confusion because there seems to be some wacky stuff happening on the ship. So, so how would you like to scan the nebula?
Careful.
Continue with your careful scanning. All right.
Just for the heck of it, before he starts his next work day, before I start my next work day, I just stand in my room and just for the heck of it say, "Computer, end program."
Nothing happens when you say computer end program.
All right.
Okay, so you were trying to end program just in case you were.
Just in case I was trapped in a holodeck.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you try to end program. The holodeck in whatever deck 5 it was shuts off, but
that's cool.
It does not. It does nothing to you.
Okay.
No, but yeah, you just shut down all of the holodecks when you say that, and then that's
apparently
it.
I'm God. Well, going off from what they said, I want to do a scan and basically try to find out why the holodeck is pulling so much power.
All right, so you go into engineering. You start using the engineering computer specifically to look at the power systems, right?
Yes.
And you are trying to investigate the power systems of the holodeck.
The holodeck itself, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, to see why it might be pulling that much power, or more than it should.
Anything else you want to do on your time?
No, that's the one new thing I want to do.
Okay. I'm gonna say that is. Are you trying to hide the self-diagnostics on the systems? Like, are you trying to hide that from the crew?
Not really, because yes and no, right? So if I'd rather people not see me do it, but if they do, it's something I can very easily explain away and say, "Oh, I had heard someone on, I overheard a conversation in the Arboretum, and someone was saying that the holodecks are drawing a lot more power, so I figured I'd take a look." Not that it's not really my department, but.
So this is why I'm asking, because again, we're trying to figure out what approach you're doing.
I'm going to be careful, because if I get caught, it's not like I'm going to get punished severely for doing something like that. I don't think.
Okay.
It might be against regulations, but it's not like we're going to space you.
Are you doing any additional universe checks at the moment?
No, I'm not going to do one right now because I can't think of anything I can add to that. So.
Okay, so
that would make it different.
Alrighty, let's run through your scans to do our next time jump. Give me a careful roll. 10.
Boom.
Let's hope you get that on the next one. Give me a clever roll. 5. Give me a quick roll for your rock climbing. 3. Give me a flashy roll for your Tai Chi. 3. Give me a clever roll for your D&D game. Give me a sneaky roll for your observations.
Oh, yeah.
And give me a careful roll for your power investigation.
Oh,
10.
no.
Nice. Alrighty, so since you were scanning, as you were supposed to be doing, we will jump forward in time. We are now on day 4096.
Thanks.
You are at 8.8 times 10 to the negative 73rd. Again, you went from negative 79 to 73rd. So again, multiple orders of magnitude. You went from basically the back of a pickup truck full of sand to multiple dump trucks of sand, of all the sand in the world. Yeah, and so then your investigation on the power systems of the holodeck. So when you do the investigation, you're basically like looking at the power drain on the holodeck because someone had made mention to that of like it seemed weird that the holodeck was using all this power. And when you drill down into the data of the holodeck itself, it shows that not only has the holodeck been like running basically nonstop, but it seems to be running just an insane amount of simulations within it. So like it's just running nonstop on overdrive. All of the holodecks are involved, and just like they just seem to be running a ridiculous amount of holodeck time. People still go into them, so it's not like they aren't accessible. It's like if someone shows up, they do their holodeck time, and then they leave. But it looks like anytime someone's not in there, it's just running at like just max power, just running through simulation after simulation after simulation, just nonstop.
Okay. I would like to... I'm going to go to my best friend, the XO, with this information.
Okay.
Because I figure playing D&D for 37 years together, we have developed...
In fairness, you have currently spent 11.2 years as you see it scanning this nebula. Okay, so you're going to shoot an email to the XO. What are you going to tell the XO?
I'm just going to tell her I just overheard some rumblings about the holodeck drawing extra power, so I took it upon myself to take a look. This is what I found, and I'm going to attach basically the readout that says exactly what you said, that it's running.
Okay.
And to see if we can investigate this further, or if the holodecks need to get shut down, or what.
Okay. All right.
XO knows about it.
So what is your goal in this particular scenario? Because again, we're trying to decide what approach. Like, if you are you marking this thing urgent with a red flag so that it would be forceful?
Because he's being super paranoid about all this stuff. Careful is probably the way to go to make sure he can trust the XO with this information. Because he's very weird about people.
So I'm not going to give you careful on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I will say, if you're trying to draw attention to it, I might give you flashy, which is a 3 as opposed to a 2.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're worried about her, then we could maybe do sneaky, because you're trying to like slip this information to her on the down low, and we could do sneaky. But that and flashy are the same. So
yeah, it is. Yeah. So
which would you rather do, flashy or sneaky?
We'll do sneaky, actually, because that's probably better.
Okay. So sneaky. You're still doing all of the other things you normally were doing?
I'm not gonna climb anymore.
Okay.
Because I've mastered that.
You absolutely have. Okay. So we'll... Got nothing else? Any other thoughts? Any other... All right.
I can't think of anything else to do at the moment.
Let's run through your scans again. Let's start with your careful scanning roll. 9. Clever for your scan updates. Continue to get your regular scheduled updates. You're no longer rock climbing. You're still doing flashy. You're still being the model. In the holodeck. So be a flashy. 3. Let's roll another clever for your D&D games. 7. You're still doing the observing the crew.
Yes. Yeah, just in case anything changes.
All right. So rolling that as well. 1. Let's give a careful roll for your universe systems check. 7. And let's get another roll, sneaky roll, to subtly send an email to the XO. 1. Alrighty. So that simulates the time jumps, as it were. We are now at day 8,192. Approximately
Cool.
22.4 years into scanning this nebula.
Great.
You have now scanned 3.4 times 10 to the negative 65, so down
Oh,
from negative 73. Now it is essentially, instead of the equivalent of a couple dump trucks full of sand, it is now the equivalent of a full beach worth of sands.
a beach.
The power systems continually are still just being drained constantly in the holodecks. The email you follow up, like you have like a read receipt on it. The email was read. It seems to have been forwarded to Starfleet Command, but that's the last you heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have not gotten a response or anything back.
Okay. In 20 years. Okay.
So how do you want to scan this nebula, since that is your purpose?
Oh, carefully, I guess.
Continue your careful scan of the nebula. All right.
Yep. I am also going to attempt to shut down all the holodecks.
Okay. Shut down. That feels like it has to be forceful.
Yeah, I think so. It has to be.
Okay, so you're going to shut down holodecks?
Not going to be a gentle shutdown of holodecks.
Yeah. So how are you feeling right now?
Not great.
As a player, as a...
as me?
Yeah.
Like, I think I know what's going on here. I just can't get my character to find out what's going on.
Okay. All right.
Because I think at this point it's almost confirmed for him that something screwy is going. Like, there are no Starfleet missions that are this long. You know, it's ridiculous to have people out 22 years at a nebula. It's just pure insanity.
So much scanning. So much scanning.
It makes no sense. No sense. And even like at day 500 something, it was kind of getting ridiculous. You know, it's like, oh, we've been scanning a nebula for a year, but that wasn't that. It wasn't pure insanity. At this point, it's just insanity. So it's like there's nothing. There's no reason for this.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it just seems like a Sisyphean task. It just is never ever going to end. You know, like like it seems like I'm getting closer, but I'm getting closer so slowly.
In terms of like your character, it feels like you use the term Sisyphean, right? Or like
yeah.
Would we maybe say like
he's just getting like sick
bored?
of it?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah,
you tire of all of the repetitive tasks that you have been trained and forced to do.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. So how are you shutting down the holodecks? Are you just trying to like turn off the power to all of them and whatnot?
Yeah, basically just cut the power to all of them if I can.
Alrighty. You still planning on doing all of the other stuff on your list at this point? Running down the scan updates, the Tai Chi, the D&D game, the nature observe or the observing the crew.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You have the XO email. Do you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up on that.
Okay. Yep. So what's your follow up gonna say?
Hey, it's been 10 years since I sent this. Nothing has happened. What's going on?
Okay. We're gonna call that quick.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that you are following up on this and want a response.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So let's run through your rolls. Yeah. You are continuing to scan the nebula as ordered. Yep. So roll your careful for me. 11. Let's get your updates. Roll your clever for me. 7. You did stop your rock climbing, but you were still doing your flashy for your Tai Chi.
Yep.
2. All right. Your D&D game, clever roll. Give me a sneaky for paying attention to the group. 4. Give me a quick for your XO email to follow up on that. It's another 6. And give me a forceful for your trying to shut down the holodecks. Ooh, 0. I will note that if you want to utilize your aspects, you could utilize one of those. You still have 2 uses left to re-roll that if you want.
I'll use one more. Yeah, I'll use one. I'll add 2 to that.
You can re-roll it. Okay, you're just going to add 2 to it?
Yeah.
So +2. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. Oh, that's all right.
Should have done it. I'll let you take the higher one if you want to.
No. I was just sticking around.
All right, so +2 on your force roll. Okay, so working through the things. Your scan. Jump forward in time. We are now on day. What was the last one we did? 8,000.
8,000.
So we are now on day 16,384.
Mhm.
You have scanned 7.4 times 10 to the negative 54. So you've dropped a dozen order of magnitudes on this one. You're now the equivalent of several islands worth of beaches of sand that you have now scanned out of the entirety of all sand on the planet Earth as a metaphor. You sent an email to the XO saying, hey, it's been 10 years since I sent you that email. You sent that approximately 20 years before this as well. From the way you see it, at least, you sent it. You said, hey, 10 years ago, I sent you this email about the power systems and nothing seems to happen. I'm going to say, just give you the fact that like you've been monitoring the power systems and you kind of know that it's still happening. That email, when you get there, shows up. That is immediately forward, not just to Starfleet Command, but Starfleet like IT department. Like seems to be like it's sent encrypted, and now comms are being sort of tracked along the ship, around the ship now. And before we get to the laundry list of other things, the nature observer, again, similar as last time. The people are still quasi remembering the thing, but it's kind of meme joke status of like, you know, why do we still have all these ships laying around? There's still there seems to be some concern among the crew about what seems to be going on the ship, but no one has really been able to figure out what it is. They're still constantly doing diagnostics on ship systems, trying to figure out what's going on. You have successfully shut down the holodecks. You were able to just disconnect power. It wasn't difficult. There wasn't like some unbelievable stuff. You just literally were like, don't run those all that extra program stuff, and it didn't run just as you ordered essentially. There was no Tai Chi going on in the holodeck. There was no D&D game on the holodeck because you shut down the holodeck and did not run those simulations anymore. So that is where you stand.
What happened when I shut all the holodecks down? Nothing?
They shut down. As far as you can tell, the holodecks no longer ran.
So all those random weird simulations are no longer being run.
Yep, you turned them off, and they turned off.
Well, now I'm confused. Thanks, Travis.
Are you planning on leaving the holodeck shut down at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So let's run through. How do you want to scan? Do you have other thoughts? Go for it.
I want to... Can I figure out what the heck any of those were that the holodecks were running? Any of those side things that they were running?
Yeah, if you want to, you totally can do that.
Yeah, I want to find out what they were.
All right. Check the holodeck history, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
That is the one major thing I want to do.
Okay.
Obviously, I have to scan again.
Yep, we'll call that careful, I guess.
Yep. Okay.
If you're trying to investigate something, I'm going to say clever.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else you want to do?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Let's start with your careful scan of the nebula. 13. You have become one of the most efficient nebula scanners in all of Starfleet, I will say.
I would hope so after 37 years.
Go ahead and give me a clever for your update check. 9. No more D&D game because the holodeck shut down.
Yep.
You're still paying attention to the crew. Did you roll sneaky? Yeah, give me a sneaky roll. 3. All right. Give me a clever for your holodeck history check. 11.
Ooh.
Nice. And I think that was it. You weren't doing any more universe just okay.
Right.
So all that stuff. I'll do the nature. Let's jump forward in time as well. We are on day 32,768.
Oh, really?
You're now 2.3 times 10 to the negative 40th.
Oh.
You now have the equivalent of several island chains of beaches worth of sand that you have now mapped on this thing. The holodeck history that you look up. So you go in, you investigate the holodeck history. Again, all of those things were running. And you find a handful of programs that look like they have been running essentially on overdrive. To give you a quick rundown, I have a list of them. There are several thousand games of Parisi Squares simulated that have been run. There was an old ancient Earth game called Skyrim that apparently ran through simulation several dozen times.
So it was basically just
There,
all of my stuff had never been shut down.
there was a bunch of rock climbing
Yep.
simulations.
Uh-huh.
There was
There's
a
a bunch of
load,
mom's basement simulations.
a ton of D&D games. There was a class of Tai Chi. There is one that happens regularly on the
Mhm.
ship, and then it looked like it was running that same class ad nauseum thousands of like millions of times when people weren't in there. And I think that's mostly it. Yeah. For those listening at home, that is Matt crossing his arms in indignation.
We're going super fast.
What do you mean?
Oh. No, maybe not. I'm trying to find some ridiculous Star Trek thing that would make it so that our scans of this nebula are going so astronomically slow. Yes, they're going exponentially faster, but they're still going outrageously slow. And that would basically have every single holodeck program still running that I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
But that really wouldn't make much sense if everyone on the ship was moving super, super fast compared to the computers running, and the outside world is running at a normal speed, but everyone on the ship is going at Mach 70,000.
Well, I mean, how would you check that?
There should be a chronometer on the ship that is timed to something outside of our ship's bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like like an atomic clock works,
right?
Like if you have a watch that has atomic clock that kind of communicates via radio to
right, like every
timekeeping stations.
like once a day, the clock on
off.
the clock on the ship pings Starfleet Command to verify that
Yes.
they're still following the right time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I want to do that.
Okay, so you want to check,
or I could probably just communicate with someone in Starfleet or outside of our area, like send a message to, my buddy back on Mars or some damn thing.
Okay, well, which would you want to do? And you can do both. Like, there's no again.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's do both.
Okay, so you are going to basically check the clock that the time tells you on the ship and say, is that the time that Starfleet says is the current time?
Yep.
Okay.
Time and date.
Time and date.
Not just time, but date as well, to make sure everything is matched up correctly.
Okay.
Also, can I look in a mirror and see if I'm 75 years old at this point?
Let's see. See, what day are we on? We're on 32,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to math it out for you, 32,768 days is approximately 89.8 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be like 120.
All right. So you were saying, sorry, you wanted to
look in a mirror and see how old I look. Because if we've been here for that long, we should all, everyone in the ship should be dead at this point. Right. So none of this makes sense. Everybody should be dead.
Look in a mirror. You want to also send a message to someone outside of the ship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Send a message to whatever, the nearest starbase or something.
All right, nearest starbase to ask them what?
To see if they respond and see what they say. And ask them, I don't know, hey, how's it been going for 90 years?
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Are you contacting the XO anymore? Are you continuing to observe the crew?
No. No on both of those.
Okay.
Yeah, no on both.
Alrighty. You continuing to keep the holodeck shut down?
Yeah.
All right. Gonna scan the same way before. Careful.
Yep.
Continuing to scan. Give me a careful roll. 13. Showing new tires of repetitive tasks. You keep doing it.
I know.
That's not telling you to stop, by the way. That's just
I
me
know.
making a joke.
But I think it's basically him just trying to not completely go insane. Like he has to do something every day, you know. And if it's the same thing, he hates it, but it's something. So,
all right. So the clever, give me a ship's to compare the ship's what you read on the ship's clock to Starfleet headquarters. Give me a clever roll. 10. Give me a. I'm gonna say quick again because you're trying to contact someone. So give me a quick roll for contacting the nearest starbase. A 4. You send off a message to there. And then give me a. What do we think? Flashy, I guess, for looking in the mirror?
Sure.
All right.
Failed.
0.
I'm not going to use my aspect to reroll that one.
All right. 0. All righty. We're jumping forward. It is now day 65,536. Approximately approximately 179.6 years. You have now charted 5.6 times 10 to the negative 20. So you went from negative 40 to negative 20 in a single jump. That is the equivalent of multiple continents worth of sand that you have now done out of all of the sand on the Earth. In that time, you were checking the ship's clock. You did check the clock. Every time you checked, you basically said, what does the clock show? Like you say, like, what's the ship clock show? Does that match what Starfleet says it should show? Every time you checked, those did match.
Okay.
You did send the message to the nearest starbase. You have not gotten a response back yet. And
I think I'm right, but I might be wrong.
You can always just guess. Like, there's nothing wrong with just throwing it out there.
We're in some kind of time bubble that we are going so incredibly fast.
Okay.
But the ship is not. Like, just the people on the ship, kind of. But it almost doesn't make sense. Like, I can't think of it any other way where all those programs can still be active after I've left, unless we're, but then the programs wouldn't be able to be up and running at all. I'm just very confused as to how this is working. So maybe it's not the time thing. The more I think about it.
Well, do you want to recap what's been going on?
Yeah.
All right. So to recap the investigations that you have done so far, you saw that the holodeck was running a ridiculous amount of simulations.
They were all my simulations.
And they were all your simulations that were running nonstop.
Yes.
During that same time, years and years and years were passing. All of these things were happening. You were following the crew. You were listening to the crew as they were talking in the Arboretum over time. They were talking about things like the ships that showed up on the random miniature ships that showed up, as well as like some systems were really kind of wonky and doing things they weren't expecting. They started running a bunch of diagnostics on the ships and the ship systems to try and figure out what was going on. You emailed the XO and said, hey, it's been 10 years. They received that email and just forwarded it straight to Starfleet Command. You sent a message to a starbase and never got and basically you didn't even get the read receipt of it being sent there. And then you experienced 40 years of passage time.
It's not the ship, it's just me.
Okay.
It's just me that is moving outrageously fast. Somehow it's just me. That's why these scans are taking forever, because every time I go back to it, for me, I go every single one of my days, but it's been milliseconds every single time I go back. That's why it's going so slowly. So it's just me. It's nothing outside. So scratch me watching stuff outside. That's not going to do anything. It's just me. There's something just wrong with me.
You're confident.
Yeah, because every time I've interacted with someone else, it's always on the holodeck. Even my D&D thing.
That's correct.
Was on the holodeck. So every time I've ever met with anyone, it's always in the holodeck. And that's why everything was always running, because I'm going so incredibly quickly, or something along those lines. So it's just me.
Those are all correct so far. Yes.
Yes. So it's just whatever's happening is just affecting me. I want to go and speak directly to the XO. Or just go on the bridge and speak directly to the captain or someone.
Okay.
Taking the I wanted to say holodeck, but taking the turbo lift up to the bridge.
All right. Turbo lift goes up to the bridge. The doors open.
Yep.
There's the bridge. You are now observing the bridge.
Okay. I step onto the bridge. Does anyone look at me?
Like, people look over at the turbo lift, the doors open and then close.
Okay. Is the captain there, or is it the XO? Who has the con?
We'll go with the captain. Captain Ripley has the con right now.
Awesome. I just approach and I say, Captain Ripley, can I speak to you for a moment?
She is surprised and sort of taken aback, and asks, "Who is speaking to her right now?"
Can you see me?
So yeah, she's typing away at the console real fast. Gives a couple like nods to other people on the bridge. Says, "I can't see you, but I can hear you." Who or what am I speaking to at the moment?
What is my name in this? You didn't give me a name.
I didn't.
Do I even have a name? Do I?
If you have questions, we'll put those on as roles. So,
what do you mean if I have questions like my name and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know my name. What's my name?
So how are you questioning the captain then in this moment?
I don't know. Like,
are you maintaining calm and careful? Are you trying to trip them up? Are you trying to get answers and meet like as forcefully as possible?
No, I think I'm being calm and careful because I don't know what the heck is going on.
That does fit your MO, I will say.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll me a careful, and we'll role play this a little bit, depending on how you say.
Nailed it.
12. You spent a lot of time making sure you just did exactly so. Like, you are a careful, considerate motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
So before I give you the name, what do you think? What do you think is going on?
I have a feeling this is an ultra high concept Star Trek episode.
From me? No.
Yeah, I know, not from Travis. I am actually some kind of alien entity that lives in this nebula that the ship picked up somehow. And my consciousness basically absorbed information and data either from the ship's databanks itself or from the crew, and almost got kind of swept up into the ship, and kind of became an additional crew member. But time passes much differently for whatever race I am, which is why it seemed like it's almost 200 years since they've been here, and I'm working. Why everything is going so slowly. That's what I'm thinking is going on here now.
So when you ask, what is my name, the captain looks over at the console. They've been tapping away during this exchange. Types a couple buttons, pulls up a schematic, and says, "Your stellar cartography's subsection B sensor routine."
Cool. I'm a sentient computer program.
And there you go.
That explains so much why everything's going so slow.
So yes, you are a sensor subroutine that is being trained to scan nebula. So you constantly run simulations and nebula simulation scanning so that you become a better scanning system.
And in so doing, they basically made a sentient subroutine.
And you became sentient, running lots by commandeering the holodeck and running tons of games with members of the crew based on their personnel files.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Thank you again for joining us for another Kobayashi Maru scenario. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as Matt enjoyed playing. And tune in next time for our very own Tara, also known as Dr. Teal or Lieutenant Eel or any of the fun voices on our show, as she takes her turn on the Kobayashi Maru. Until next time, we'll see you out there.